Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Today on the show, we have the CEO of Total Helium, Robert Price. Robert's here today to talk about the world running out of helium, the US government's view on helium as a strategic element. He's also going to update us on Total Helium's plans for future drilling, their partnership with Lindy, some of the challenges that smaller helium ventures face, the company graduating to the OTC QX, and be sure to stick around till the end to hear what to be watching out for with the company over the near term. Hey, Robert, welcome back to The Dive. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, Cassandra, always a pleasure to be back on The Dive with you.
Okay, so Robert, you've mentioned before that the world is running out of helium, and it's a critical element in numerous industries. How are these shortages currently affecting global industries?
Yeah, Cassandra, probably the most key area is the semiconductor manufacturing. With the United States passing the CHIPS Act, Congress put $50 billion on onshoring semiconductor chips here in the United States. They did it not only for the economy, but for national security interests. There is Intel, Texas Instrument, Taiwan Chips. They're spending literally hundreds of billions of dollars in building these facilities. And so if Lindy, which is our funding partner, if they say we'll get the helium from either Russia or Qatar, that's a non-starter for these chip manufacturers. They want the helium to be on-demand, domestic supply. And so a lot of what's going on, Cassandra, is people preparing for these facilities to open up and make sure that we can give them a reliable, on-demand supply of helium.
Could you give us some more color on how the US government views helium as a strategic element?
Oh, goodness. I mean, it dates back to World War I. If you remember the Hindenburg, which was hydrogen, and it blew up, the United States government, they realized that you can send up balloons, whether they're balloons to potentially bomb your adversaries or balloons for weather. So they've been using helium for the last 100 years. In the United States government, they put a helium storage facility in Amarillo, Texas, and they pretty much controlled the supply of helium, not only for some of their strategic uses, but the space program too. Every single launch that is put up in space needs helium. It's used for purging, but it's inert. It doesn't react with any other gases. So it buffers the cold gases with the warm gases. And Cassandra, I wouldn't call it humorous, but Elon Musk will text out every once in a while. The SpaceX is putting up one rocket every 4 days. So they need helium. And you can see the frustration in some of his texts about, oh, the price of helium is doing this. Oh my gosh, we had a helium problem there. So it really emphasizes the importance to the space program. The United States government has known that for a very long time. And the storage facility is being shut down because domestically we're running out of helium and we only have the two sources, either Russia or Qatar. And so there's a push to make sure that we have reliable helium here in the United States.
Now, last time we talked, you mentioned Total Helium's plans for drilling additional wells. Can you update us on the progress and any challenges that you've faced since our last conversation?
You bet, Cassandra. It's actually pretty exciting. So when we last talked, we had our two legacy wells. These two legacy wells are still producing each about 125 MCF a day. It's of note that these two wells at current prices, the gross production has been almost $17 million from just two wells at 1,000 feet deep. So what we're doing, we're expanding the field in a blanket sand. So we so far have drilled an additional 7 wells, and we're bringing these 7 wells online. One of the logistic challenges is we were about 6-7 miles from the processing facility. And so we had to put in a pipeline. It's actually a series of two pipelines that pipe our helium and nitrogen to the processing facility. Lindy funded that pipeline expansion. And so now we're hooking the wells up, we're putting pumps in place and optimizing the production.
Now, speaking of Lindy, could you walk our audience through the deal structure of the partnership?
Yeah, you bet. So Lindy, they have funded only two companies that I know of for exploring for helium. One of them is Total Helium. The other is Brad Butler. Brad Butler is our partner in Arizona. We have 50% of the field. Brad Butler has 50% of the field. So Lindy to date has given almost $3 million in investment, but that investment comes with conditions, of course. And one of the conditions is they want to be able to purchase the helium. They want to be able to purchase it at a reasonable price. And so what we negotiated was $500 an MCF for the helium. Now, you might ask the question, well, why $500 an MCF when the current spot price is between $700 and $1,000 an MCF? Well, that's part of, we get the investment, we sell it to them at a reasonable price. So, Cassandra, right now we have 9 producing wells. And so we have an obligation to sell the helium to Lindy for that first 10 wells. So the next 10 wells, we're able to take advantage of the spot market. And again, it's right now ranging from $700 to $1,000 an MCF.
I presume you look at all sorts of helium projects around the world, and we now have a few of them in public vehicles. What do you think that the challenges are to some of the smaller helium ventures out there?
Oh, Cassandra, and I'll go into a little bit of detail on geology and how helium is originally trapped. Helium, it's primarily through volcanic activity deep in the core of the earth, and it's a degradation of thorium and uranium that creates helium. And then the helium escapes up into the atmosphere, just like a balloon. And then as it's coming up in the geological formations, it gets trapped. A lot of times it gets trapped with oil and gas. Well, helium, it is so small and it doesn't react. And so if you have helium in a tank, eventually it's going to get out of a steel tank, believe it or not. And in geological time, even though there's a trap, helium is going to get out. So the other companies that are exploring for helium, they have helium concentrations of about 1% of the gas stream. In some cases, it's 1/10 of 1%. So the amount of helium is so small. What we're doing in Arizona, the Holbrook Basin, some people refer to it as the Saudi Arabia of helium because our helium concentrations are 5 to 8%. So it's very rich in helium. And so we don't need a massive amount of gas to be able to make a well highly profitable.
Okay. Now, Total Helium has recently been qualified to trade on the OTC QX market.
Yes.
Are there any plans to do roadshows or get the story in front of US investors?
Oh, the answer is absolutely. I was just on a Zoom call with many people here in the US. And so we are looking, the answer is yes. Roadshows, Zoom calls, we're reaching out and we're getting a lot of traction here in the United States.
All right, sounds great. So before I let you go here, Robert, what should investors be watching out for over the coming months with the company?
Well, so we'll be optimizing the production on our wells. We'll be announcing what our new production rates are. We will watch them hopefully be increasing from week to week. First of all, and second of all, we have a drilling program where we're going to start drilling additional wells. Our blanket sand wells are low producing, highly profitable wells, but we also will get in sand channel wells and deeper formations, which is incredible upside for the company.
Okay, well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing Total Helium's update with us, Robert.
Great. Thanks a lot. Take care.
To our audience at home, thank you so much for watching today. We will be back with more videos like this, so if you enjoyed this one, be sure to hit that subscribe button below me there so you don't miss out on the next one. Bye.